Hello, my name is Jessica Klimesh. I'm a creative writer, writing coach, and editor. And today I am here to give you another quick tip, fairly quick, about why less is more and what you can learn from trying flash fiction. So as you may know, I write flash fiction and microfiction. And how I often describe the genre of flash fiction is kind of a cross between longer short fiction and poetry, because it doesn't always follow the same conventions as longer short fiction, and it's also not quite poetry. And of course I am biased, but I think it's a genre that every writer should try. I'm going to tell you why. From an editor and writing coach perspective, there's a lot that writers can learn from trying to write flash fiction or flash creative nonfiction. It doesn't have to be fiction, but the micro form. So writing small, like a micro, is not about condensing a story. It's not about that at all. One thing that makes writing flash unique and perhaps more challenging than longer forms is the need for an analytical brain. Sure, every writer needs to have the ability to analyze to some extent, but so much of what flash and microfiction is what's not on the page. And that is a big difference between flash and other genres. So once you become adept at figuring out for flash what doesn't need to be on the page or what readers can infer from the context, you begin to see how wordy some writers are. Of course, I'm joking a little bit, but after writing and reading a lot of flash, whenever I read longer work, I'm always thinking about, wow, they have so much here that could be cut. So I bring this with me from a writing coach and editor perspective, because not only is this how I approach coaching, but it's also a way to help writers learn how to self-edit. Writing flash and microfiction is all about constraints. I love constraints in writing. I love them. And I believe they make you a stronger writer. And importantly, they make you a more creative one. Because when what is not on the page is as important as what is on the page, and you have limited space, it forces you to be innovative. So there are countless ways to approach writing flash, but I'm going to share with you one of the techniques that I like, and it's one that can carry over from genre to genre, and it's what I call overwriting. That is to say, my first drafts are usually considerably longer, maybe not considerably longer, but they're usually quite a bit longer than my intended length. A number of years ago, I attended a writing workshop where we were given some prompt and instructed to write a dialogue. It was just dialogue, no other context. And then after we completed that part of the exercise, we were instructed to cut, I think it was like 2/3 of what we had written. And it was kind of an eye-opening exercise for me, and I loved it. And I use it, or a variation of it, with a lot of the writers that I work with, and I use it as a writer myself as well. Whenever I'm stuck on a piece of writing that I'm working on, one of the first things that I do is see what I can cut. And I usually give myself like some guidance, like if it's a 1,000 word story, I might say, okay, I'm going to challenge myself. Can I make this 500 words? And it doesn't always have to be words, but I put some sort of constraint on myself when I'm revising, and it almost always helps unblock me. It gets me out of that I'm stuck mode, because again, constraints force you to be innovative. They force you to be creative. Many writers focus on generating word count and page count, and that's all fine. There's no problem with that. And it's in fact likely beneficial for many reasons. But what happens then is after they've generated all this work, what happens is that the cutting part doesn't always take place. There's so much emphasis on produce, generate more words, generate pages, blah, blah, blah. So what I'm suggesting is basically turning this on its head. I spend much of my own writing time with a focus on word count, but not adding to my word count, but often decreasing the word count. Simply cutting. But what this does when I cut my work from like 1,000 words to 500, for example, is it forces me to really look at what I'm trying to say, what my story really is, you know, who these characters are, and what I want the reader to take away. What is this story really about? Cutting words, cutting content takes a great deal of understanding of your own work and analysis of your own work, and it takes a great understanding of the craft of writing as well, which is why I often suggest it, because I think that trying for these smaller forms really can make writers more effective, more skillful, even if they write longer form work. So even if you end up cutting 70% of what you've written, that you've still helped yourself. You've still done a beneficial thing craft-wise, because writing helps you figure out what the story is that you want to tell. You get the information down, and then you kind of know what it is you want to say, and then you can cut. It informs future drafts. We write to learn. That is to say that many people don't always know what they want to say until they start writing it down or putting it into words. This is one reason why writing essays in school is so important. So what many writers can learn from trying flash fiction, from imposing constraints on their work, is the more in-depth of an analysis of what actually needs to be on the page and what might not have to be on the page. It takes time to learn this and to do it well, to figure out how to hint at context or how to hint at characterization. It's a challenge, though, that can make you a stronger writer and a stronger self-editor. It can also help you learn how to critique others' work more effectively. So I'm encouraging you, my tip here is, yes, to overwrite your first drafts, but then, no matter what genre you're writing in, see what you can cut from your original draft. Think about what the reader can infer from the context. But then start cutting. Again, put some constraints on your work. It will make you a stronger writer. Thank you for watching, and as usual, please subscribe to my channel, like the video, comment, and share. I appreciate it. Thank you.